Good afternoon, Professor. This is Stephen Manohar Gurram, one of your students, and this is my assignment, and I'm going to explain what I've accomplished. So the first question asks, using NumPy, create random vector of size 15 having only integers in the range of 1 to 20. So uh, to accomplish that, I just use the function that is in the NumPy. So NP is a NumPy, so I just use the random function in the NumPy and then gave the range from 1 to 21, which is n plus 1 because we're starting from 0, so we're going to add 1, right? And then I just gave the size of 15 because the size of the vector that we want is 15. So once I did that, I basically assigned this to a variable. We just printed the variable here. So the random variable, the 15, creating a random vector of size 15. This is printed here. This, as you can see, is a random vector of size 15. Um, and then the question asks us to resize the array to 3 by 5, which is like, three columns and 5 rows or something. So I just use the reshape function from random vector. So we have numpy. So I just used the reshape function, and then used it on the random vector, and then I assigned a variable which is reshape array. Then I printed the reshape array. So I basically got the reshape array. So yeah, I got the shape of the printing the array shape. So I basically printed the array shape here. So once I reshaped this, I got an array of 3 by 5. But then I just printed out the shape here. And then the question asks us to replace the max in each row by 0. So for that, I just used a for loop for a row in reshape array, which would be this array. I just implemented the function that is in NumPy, argmax on the rows. So I found the maximum argument in the row and then replaced it with 0. I basically printed it. So I got this as the output. So finally, we were asked to just create a two-dimensional array of 4 by 3 with a 4-byte integer element. So we know that 4-byte integer is nothing but 32 in 32. So we have 4 bytes, which is 32 bits. So we have this is the D type means the data type, and then from NumPy I just imported this in 32, and then I just basically applied it to this. So I'm creating a two-dimensional array that is a size of 4 by 3, and the zeros I basically am assigning this to this variable. I'm then printing this variable and the shape of that variable. So we have this. So we have zeros, that is 4 by 3, and then we have the array itself, which is we have the shape of the array and then the array itself. So this is the shape of the array. This is the actual array itself. So with that, the first question is completed. And then they asked us to write a program to compute the agate values and agate vectors of a given square as array given 3 by 10 and like 0 and 10. So this is the square array. So basically, the agate vectors are the vectors when you try to squish or stretch a matrix, these vectors are not going to change. So which would be the x-axis or the vector that goes from -1 to 1. So these are the vectors that are not going to, like, change their directions when you squish or compress a matrix. So that's the basic theory, mathematical theory behind this. So for me to compute these, like, for me to do this, I just use this function from NumPy on the matrix that I just assigned to, and then I printed those values. So I got those values, and then I printed those values in this form. So the aggregate values and the aggregate vectors. So usually the aggregate values is the factor by which these what do you say, the squishing and the compressing of the matrix happens. So for x-axis it would be 3, for, like, -1 to 1, the array that goes from -1 to 1, it would be 2. So this would be the value that came over this so yeah. And then coming to the next problem, which is compute the sum of digits, diagonal elements of a given array. So basically, what my understanding from this question is to compute the principal diagonal, the compute the sum of elements in the principal diagonal. So they gave us this matrix, and then the principal diagonal would be 0 and 4. So for me to sum up these principal diagonal values, I have a function that is named as trace in NumPy. I basically use that function on this matrix, and then assign this to this variable. I just then printed. So the sum would be 4, which would be 0 plus 4 is 4. And then the next question would be, write a NumPy program to create a new shape to an array without changing its data. So we have this array. We have to, like, create a new shape of that array without changing its data. So the way I did it is, I just, like, use the NumPy. So we have the NumPy array. We defined this array, and then I used the reshape function from the NumPy, and then basically reshaped the entire array. So this is the original array, that is 3 by 2, and the reshaped array is 2 by 3. So the values are the same. It's just they are reshaped. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to learn.